Jabronis Pancake Podcast.
What's up, guys? Coming to you live from the Jabronis studio at Casa Barwinski. We got the commish here, also aka Mr. McTutties. You guys have been waiting for this moment all year. We're bringing you the Jabronis Pancake Podcast. I'm here with my esteemed colleague, John, also known as John Jasmine's Rice.
Hello.
Yeah, that's kind of, we might have to edit that out for PC reasons. Anyway, John.
I'm good. It's good.
We got the first Pancake Podcast. How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a lot better than I did last season. And that's because I got in last season. So nothing would have been equivalent to that. So
can you talk through your mindset on being last for a whole off season and wanting that redemption? How was it in the summertime? Waiting up for that punishment. You finally did it after 3 attempts.
yeah, I mean, I had to get my wisdom tooth pulled, so that's why I got pushed out a little bit. A lot of anger, confusion over the summer, but came back in the second season, and I think I've been doing better than last season.
Yeah, I would say. Do you want to pinpoint anything on why you maybe took last in the first Jabronis season? Is there one person you want to blame? Is there yourself? What's
there's actually two people I want to blame. There's Antonio Gibson and Robert Woods. Those were my second and third round picks. So that completely crushed me and took me out. Because with that first pick at the turn, you got to make sure you have something solid in those rounds. And I missed it, and then there was just more gap.
Okay. So you're not no CMC, huh? I thought CMC.
No, CMC was good. It just his injury in Carolina. I ended up going. I panicked and then went the double QB route, thinking somebody would end up trading me for that.
About that.
Yeah, I could get something for Dak Prescott or Kyler Murray, and that just didn't come to fruition. Yeah.
Okay. Well, want to start with the first segment here. It's called Start of Season Mindset, and we got the draft board pulled up right in front of us of the second season. And, John, I'm going to start out by asking you, what was your mindset like for Season 2 compared to Season 1? Can you talk a little bit about your approach this season?
Yeah, so the draft itself, I came in with the Hero RB strategy.
Can you explain that?
So Hero RB strategy is coming in with one solid running back and then waiting to the later rounds to hopefully find, Kenny Walker, a Josh Jacobs, something in the later rounds that will make an impact on your team. So that's exactly why I came in with that. Being towards the end of the first round, I definitely wanted to go receiver, running back. So when Jamar Chase just kind of fell to me, if Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, one of those guys fell to me, I would have for sure took them over Chase.
And are you happy? So you came in at the 1.8, so the 8th pick of the draft.
Yeah,
Are you happy with where you are at now at the season with Jamar Chase and his hip injury? Can you kind of tell us what you're feeling about that?
Yeah, well, like every other team, I've been battling injuries. Mine, luckily came towards the second half of the season, so it hasn't been as devastating on me.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I've been able to squeeze out those, that 5-win streak.
Yeah.
These last 5 weeks. So
is it 5 in a row?
I know 5 in a row.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think what do you think lit the fire to that 5-0 run for you?
Sean. Yeah, Sean was talking a lot of shit, and I had to make sure I put him in his place, and I thought I would do that without having to throw a water balloon at him. So
Sean loves those water balloons to the face. We will need to put a edit in here with a water balloon hitting him in the face.
No, I'm just. I think, joking aside, I wanted to make sure I came in this season and no doubt, recreate the same thing that happened last season. I've never gotten last in anything ever in my life, and that was pretty humiliating.
So I would say John started out playing not to get last, and then he turned it around pretty quickly, and now he's playing to stay in the playoff run.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool there. I would say nice turnaround. I think, we'll get into more of mid-season recap and where we feel everyone's going to head in the playoffs, but I think you are pretty safe right now, at least to not get that last place. So no dress for you this time. We still got that wig if you need it. That John wore for the Britney Spears song, which if you guys didn't see that video, it's pretty great. He did a good job though. He came through.
Yeah, I'm just glad you offered to go up there and explain the situation before I just went up there and it was a hat. So
yeah,
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, to give you guys full context, so John didn't just go up on a stage with a wig. Everybody at it's called One Nostalgia, this bar. It's kind of a dive bar. they were all staring at him like, what the hell is this guy doing? We see weird stuff here, but not this weird. And it had this older gentleman to the front of the entrance. He waited to leave. He's like, hold up. He told his wife, hold up, I got to watch this. And then I did the intro about, this is for John's Fantasy League. He doesn't do this, just out of willy-nilly nowhere. And the guy goes, man, I wish my fantasy league was like this. So just a little tidbit reminder there, guys. This is why we're the best. Again, we're trying to make the league better every year. Again, kind of circle back. This is why we're doing the podcast this season. In the future, might do a few more. I know I've been slacking a bit on the Pancake Press, so I figured we'd do a podcast to go around for the midseason. But yeah, maybe some more Pancake Press to come your way in the future. So
I think this is just another good thing, though, for us to include in the league and then take it to another,
for sure. Level. Possibly some more guests, too, in the future. We'll see. Maybe see how people are doing. I do like, kudos, shout out to Cole, a.k.a. Jason Who. He came up with the idea to make sure that we share videos on the next week's picks if you end up getting the low scoring points. And I think that's been a pretty big success. You have people texting every week like, I better see this video. It's like all they're waiting for. I'm pretty sure Sean just stares at his phone until it pops up. Just kidding, Sean. No, but yeah, pretty good idea. I definitely like it. It's a way to make the league more fun and interactive. All about it, right? So let's keep those fun ideas coming, right? Okay, so let's circle back one more time to just start a season mindset. John, I kind of want you to talk through, do you think anybody on this draft board that we have pulled up right now, do you think anybody got a major steal off the top of your head that you're like, man, this guy, I should have picked him up. Why did I pass him?
Yeah, whoever got Nick Chubb. I think that was that Ryan?
Yeah,
Ryan Shannon. It was Aaron Jones or Nick Chubb. I was thinking about getting in the back of the second round. I was thinking about going Alvin Kamara. There was that risk of suspension, and then the video literally leaked last weekend. Of him punching that guy.
So week 9.
It was a scare. It was like, oh man, the NFL's going to act on it now. Now that there's video, they don't. Once there's video, I mean, it's hard to argue against that. And then they end up pushing it to March. So it's Charles March, so he's good. He's safe for the rest of the season. Had I known that, I probably would have did Alvin Kamara or Aaron Jones or Chubb at the back end of the second round.
And you did end up getting Kamara, right? So you got your second.
I got Kamara, I was happy about that. I got Chase. I was happy about that too. So
quick tidbit on that video. If you guys saw it, it's very blurry and hard to see, but they clearly point out Kamara on TMZ.
Oh, you can clearly see him punching that guy in the face.
I'm pretty sure he stomped on his face a few times, and it's just funny because it's getting pushed. Not the stomping part, the fact that it's clearly obvious. Kamara just took it out on this guy. And they're waiting until March. So there's definitely some maybe fantasy football gods helping John out right now, or at least in that, or making up for the Jamar Chase.
You can see him punching that guy in the face. You can see his posse doing this Irish jig on him afterwards on the ground. It was bad. That's why I was like, man, I'm screwed. Alvin Kamara, first Chase, Alvin Kamara, and then now Josh Allen with the UCL elbow injury. I'm like, how's that even a thing? This guy threw a 60-yard bomb after his arm apparently got injured. But man, all that aside, I guess.
How great would that be if Kamara came out and this is just a thought that popped in my head as if he's like, I'm actually Irish. I was doing the Irish jig on this guy, and his face was just in my way.
It's in my culture.
Good night, man. But good for John. I guess it's good for the NFL to keep Kamara around, or at least for this season. The Saints are still in it, I think, right? But yeah, when I hit on the Nick Chubb thing, I definitely agree. I think Nick Chubb, getting him in the back of the second, is just the steal of the draft because he's playing I believe he's top 5 RB. I got to look at the statistics on that, but he's scoring a touchdown almost every week. Mm-hmm. And here's the pain point for me is he was my first pick last year, pick number 5.
Yeah.
And I expected him to play like this last year, but I was a year either too early is how I probably phrase it up, and it's just like, you got to be kidding me, Nick Chubb. This is what you were supposed to do last year. I missed the playoffs.
You had Kareem Hunt eating into his snaps this season. Yeah, Kareem Hunt has actually been put out in the trade block. There's been talks about it.
Yeah,
it's actually out there. Everyone's been asking, please God, get him to another team because he'll be the RB1 there. And they've actually been talking about this season. So the fact that they've been talking about it, it's out there, in the Twitter sphere. And Chubb's been getting everything. He's been the true bell cow.
Chubb is the man, and I always knew that. It's like, just get him the ball. And Kareem Hunt's not bad either, but man, it's like this season the Browns finally are like, yeah, let's just get Chubb the ball almost on every other play, and it's paying off for him, especially Chubb in fantasy. So
In a run heavy offense too. So
yeah, and if you look at the draft board, Shannon didn't do anything magical. He picked up Chubb in the back second because he was clearly the best player available, and then he also got Tyreek Hill, who is the best receiver right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's just killing it with the Dolphins, and he was one of those. I think some of us were a little bit hesitant to see how he did with Tua in the new offense because we heard Tua couldn't get it down the field. I don't think that matters because Tyreek Hill will come back for it, catch the ball, and then run another 10 to 15 yards. So yeah, Shannon definitely. Again, no magic there, just smart picks. And I would say, just to hit on this, I had the 1.4, so I had the 2.7 pick on the return with the snake draft we had, right? And I was definitely feeling Aaron Jones this year with he's going to get a lot of receiving yards. And here's the thing. When Jones goes off, he goes off. And when they get him the ball, clearly he's their best player. Like, keep getting it to him. But there's some games that Green Bay just doesn't look like they know what they're doing. If you saw last week against the Lions, again, just to recap, we just finished up Week 9. This is the Saturday before Week 10. So, again, mid-season, pretty much, right? It's crazy to think what Aaron Rodgers had 2 red zone interceptions. And I don't think he's had that in his whole career. And it's just like, get the ball to Aaron Jones. He's your best player.
Tate, don't hate me when I say this, but the Packers are the new Lions in their division. That's what it is.
He actually might like that.
And the Lions literally beat them this past week. So
I think that was the Lions' third win of the season, and out of nowhere. So I know Hartsfield was big on, a.k.a. Titty Feelers was big on Aaron Rodgers this year. He's bragging about him at his draft. And I had Aaron Rodgers in another league last year, and I was severely disappointed. And I saw, without Devontae, I'm like, no way, man. I'm definitely not. I'm not going after Rodgers.
Take away the best player from your team and expect better. Isn't that the definition of insanity? Let's keep on doing the same thing. If not, and they didn't do the same thing. They actually took away their best player and then made the situation even worse. So
they're like, let's bring in
Romeo Dobbs. Is that going to be the answer to your offense?
They have
it's not working out so well so far.
Rodgers isn't at the point in his career right now where he can start over with new receivers. He wants veterans in there, leaders, because he wants to win a Super Bowl. He's getting up there in age. I think Peyton Manning made a comment saying, "Hey, Tom and Aaron, it's okay to retire, early. Don't wait till." And Tom might turn it around. That's a whole other story right there with the.
Tom's going through a divorce right now, so that's off the issues going on.
Yeah, since it's been official, he's won, and we'll see. We'll get on the Munich topic here in a bit. But yeah, just in last piece I want to hit on start of season mindset for myself is if I could, my next second round pick out of the draft board looking available, if Barkley fell to me, he was for sure who I was going to take. Blake snagged him, smart move there. Getting him at the 2.4, also a solid pick. He's a top 5 running back. Get the ball to Saquon. He's their best player. The New York Giants are starting to figure it out with their new head coach. But yeah, so far I think if you look at the draft board now, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's pretty solid. There's still not a lot of regret, I think, across our teams, if from a holistic view. But yeah, strong season start. We have that's where we're going to get into the mid-season recap right now. So kind of new segment here, talking about where everybody kind of lies, where we think they might head come playoff time. And yeah, we're getting into that. So, John, we have Theo, a.k.a. Ritz Blitz, at 6-3 in first. We got Shannon in second at 6-3. Pretty much everybody else I feel is at 6-3. Then you got myself on an island at 5-4. Not putting up too many points, but still in the race. And then you got the last 3 places, DFW, which is Alex, which is still, is it Dallas Fort Worth wins? I don't really understand what.
Yeah, he changed it to
DFL.
Dallas Fort Worth losers, and then he changed it back to the winners.
2-game win streak. Yeah, and he's feeling it. He's talking a lot more in the chat. It's kind of nice to see him getting interactive, but yeah, we'll see if he keeps it up. He does have a solid team, but we'll get more into that. And then you got the last 2 team members who are last 2 league members. You got Tate and Pittsburgh Feelers. So you got Blake and Tate. Tate right now texts me earlier in their season, man, I'm just not playing for last. And then you got Blake. If you guys remember at his house at the draft night, goes, I never get last. I don't care what our punishment is. So it kind of seems like the fantasy gods might give him a dose of reality here. Again, what's crazy, we'll get into each team kind of here mid-season, but what's crazy is Blake has Eckler and Barkley. So that just goes to show this year is not a running back year, I feel like, right? I think it's a receivers year. Kind of like last year, you saw Surplus take it with Cooper Kupp. He had the solid, he called it wide receiver U. He had Devontae, Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp, Metcalf. And that took him to the Super Bowl. And he had I should call it the Jabronis Bowl. New term we're going to coin there. Shout out to the Golden Jabroni. So, Yeah, John, talk me through, do you think the way the order is now mid-season, do you think it's going to remain slightly the same? Who do you think's a shoo-in for the playoffs? And then who's kind of that dark horse team that you think has a chance to at least make a run in the playoffs?
Okay, so kind of starting from the top and then kind of working my way down. So Theo's team, Ritz Blitz, his team up until last week, I was like, he's unstoppable. He's probably going to win.
Yeah.
He's probably going to win the championship because he has his 2 running backs who he did the 0 RB strategy where he picked up Josh Jacobs and not Nyheim Hines, Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah.
He picked those guys up in the later rounds. So when those guys were going off, and then you have Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, Mark Andrews, and then T. Higgins at the flex, I was like, there's no one that's going to come in his way and beat him. But lately, those 2 running backs, I think they're still playing solid. The team, though, is starting to look a little bit different. T. Higgins, kind of touching on him.
Yeah. With
Jamar Chase, you can see he didn't step in as that number 1 role so far in the last 2 weeks. Jamar Chase is that nucleus of that team, so you need him to get everything going. If he's out, you can see that the Bengals are a totally different team. Now, if Joe Burrow decides, okay, I'm going to start, playing completely different and just start airing it out and actually making something happen, then maybe that could turn. But Ritz Blitz, I'm not as confident in him now as I was before. Yeah. Ryan Shannon, his team is the one that's catching my eye. With those 2 RBs, that move for CMC to San Francisco, that was exciting, and then actually seeing it work out in this first couple of weeks, that was exciting to see.
I actually remember, hold on that, I think as soon as you found out about that trade, I posted in the Jabronis chat, and you're like, Shannon, who do you want for him? And John was dead serious, which is funny, because that's who John had last year, CMC, man, and now...
That's what I wished happened to my team last season.
It's just like...
the complete opposite.
Again, man, Shannon with the Chubb and the McCaffrey, that's huge.
I think 2. So he's got Nick Chubb, CMC at the running back, also the QB. So I think that's been a big strategy of this season is QBs. Yeah, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. All these guys not doing what we expected. We can pick them up in the later rounds and be fine. I think by the grace of God, me picking up Josh Allen in I think it was the 3rd or 4th round. That's actually what's been carrying my team: Josh Allen, Jamar Chase, and Kamara. So. Ryan picked up Patrick Mahomes. That's if he's not the second best, I would say he's probably the best quarterback in the league. Josh Allen, he's good, but Mahomes is always he's fire.
Solid.
He's got Tyreek Hill. So Ryan Shannon's a team that I'm actually favoriting right now to go in and be the upset to maybe upset Theo in the playoffs.
I guess
somewhere, but
can we call that an upset though? Because they both are 6-3. Yes, Theo has more points, but I would say Shannon's team. That's the thing is I think he's the clear team to beat as well. Just to touch on the first 2 teams, right? So Theo, yes, solid team. Just to give my take on it, Jefferson and Diggs are going to get him into the playoffs, and as long as they show up, they could even get him to that 2nd round, 3rd round, right?
But Josh Allen being out, that's going to hurt Diggs.
Yeah,
he's not going to be. So Case Keenum, is he going to be airing it out like Josh Allen was? Jamar Chase not being, remember that touching on that. Mark Andrews being injured.
That's true.
That going to
Injuries are a key here. You got Kyler Murray questionable for this week. Again, we're talking week 10, but I think with Theo's bread and butter, besides his receivers with Diggs and Jefferson, he had Jacobs and against Stevenson just playing amazing for him. And if they step it up, he's unbeatable. But again, I can't see them sustaining that the whole season, right? Remember, it's 17 games this year. It's not in 18 weeks, right? Because you got the bye week in there, and then you got playoffs, so it's a long season. And injuries, you gotta stay on top of those, right? But Shannon's just got so many solid players with Hill, Mahomes, Chubb, McCaffrey. We talked about that. If Sutton finally steps it up, he doesn't have the greatest receivers, but his team is pretty good. So with that being said, what I'm getting at is we definitely think that Chase Edmonds, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Devontae Parker. Who else we got? Sorry, here. We got a technical glitch. Deontay Johnson. Okay. So Deontay Johnson, man. If that guy shows up, remember who just left the Steelers? Chase Claypool to the Bears.
Yeah,
so,
right.
They're going to be a pretty solid squad. Okay. And they're going to be tough to beat, right? So what do you think about the middle tier, right? So you got Surplus, Jonathan Who, the Mom Squad, John, and I'll even let me throw myself in there. You got 5 teams right there, 5 and 4, 6 and 3.
Yeah, up until this week you were kind of in that grouping there.
Yeah.
So of that group, so Eric, Cole, Sean, myself, and then yourself. So Eric, his team with the loss of Breece Hall, I mean, just kind of look at Cooper Kupp and Jalen Hurts. I mean, that's his team right there.
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised he's at 6-3. I like Eric a lot. This is no personal shot at him. I'm just looking at his team and scratching my head, like, how is he still in the hunt for everything? Cole's team, he's got a solid team. He's got some guys like Leonard Fournette that's kind of like fading a little bit, but I think he's still relevant in that Tampa Bay offense. Damon Pierce, so I like Cole's team. He's got solid RBs, good receivers, good tight end, and Kittle. So I think he'll be continuing to stay in the middle pack and not make a run for the top. Sean's team, I like Sean's team too with Devontae Adams, Christian Kirk, that was a nice pickup. And then Travis Kelce. So, and then D-Hop that he picked up in the second half of the season. Those are all guys that stand out to me. I can see his team kind of staying in that middle tier, if not same thing, making a run for it. My team, I mean, has been taking a hit lately with Josh Allen now hurt, Jamar Chase out. Who knows if he's going to come back? Yeah. And then Kamara, that's been holding my team up. Him, and then I don't have Amon-Ra. He hasn't been. The sun god. What is he doing? It's like he's the number one. He's been targeted heavily. And it's like, but he's not doing anything. Olave has been doing well, but you can only get so much going on with Andy Dalton behind center. So I think my team will not get last like last season, so I'm happy about that. And I know I'll have to put on that dress. Yeah. But at the same time, though, I'm in this to win it. So it's a little worrisome. And then your team, you have your RBs to me are stacked. I don't get what's going on with the Aaron Jones situation. Right. I'm scratching my head. I don't think their coach has an idea either. He doesn't know how to use him to his fullest potential. He's now reached a point where I'm like, Rodgers and Aaron need to just completely wipe out that team by leaving, go somewhere else and get a fresh start somewhere else. Derrick Henry, he's still the king. He's one of the guys that I wish I could have picked up if he slipped to me. I was hoping some guys I actually thought he was going to slip to me because I thought people were going to do his injury last season and then start questioning everything. So that was those were two solid pickups to me. Your receiving core is good. Devontae Smith, because the Eagles have had an easy season, Devontae Smith's kind of reemerged. Last season, he didn't really do much. He didn't have A.J. Brown to help him out. So it's kind of spread everything out. Michael Pittman's been one of my biggest disappointments because this was the season that he was supposed to step up, take it to the next level. Getting an upgrade from Carson Wentz to Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, man, he looks like he's truly done. Like he looks like he's going to be retiring soon. I thought he was going to come in and with his accuracy, his efficiency. I mean, that's who he is as a quarterback. That's how he made a name for himself. I thought he was going to step in and make Michael Pittman, even more relevant than he was before. So, and then Kyle Pitts, that's probably
let's not talk about that.
He's not my biggest bust, but he's probably number 2 on that list for biggest bust. So that, I feel your pain there.
All right, so okay.
So I see that group staying together. Eric, I see slipping a little bit. Below that pack. Yeah.
So let's do this. Let's let me give my take on the 3 through 7, and then we'll finish 8 through 10, and then I'm going to ask you who you think will be the top 6 in the playoffs. So. Okay, let's start with surplus. So I do agree with you some point where it's like, okay, how the heck with Tyler at Jared Devin Singletary is this guy pulling off wins and actually just beat Rid Splits by less than a point, so big win there. Fun fact, Eric hit on this too. It's like he's got a solid team. Again, fantasy, you just never know when players are going to show up. But Cooper Kupp has always been solid for him. I think he's almost scored a touchdown in every pretty much freaking game this season. So that's the guy keeping him afloat. Jalen Hurts, I think a solid pickup. I think he got him, if we're going back to the draft board. He got him in the 6th. Where is surplus at? Yeah, he was pick 7. No, he was missed.
He was.
No, they'll deficit here. He changed
third
his name.
pick.
Third pick. He got him in the 7th round. Wow. Yeah, steal there. Bonehead moved by all of us for not picking up Hurts earlier. I feel like he's solid guy. Yes, he's had an easy schedule, quote unquote, so far, but I still think he's going to put up solid numbers. Hawkinson getting traded, I think, was huge. If you saw Kirk Cousins loves him, threw him the ball a lot.
I think so.
CD's one of those guys, like, could give you 30 points, 30, 40 points every week. And then all of a sudden, he just doesn't show up. I had him last year, avoided him for that reason. Sorry, Cowboys fans. I just knew, fantasy-wise, not the guy. Allen Lazard.
Take it easy.
It's definitely, Allen Lazard is definitely one of those players, if they can get him the ball, he's Eric's ace in the hole. So, I do think, yeah. Eric
Alan Lazard is an ace in the hole.
Well, as in, like, will help him get into playoffs.
I forgot he was still on the Packers. I swear to God.
I'm telling you, man, if they give him the ball and he's not hurt, he's fine. But, yeah, Cooper Kupp's obviously his go-to. But, yeah, so then let's talk Cole. I'll be honest, I even think Cole thought this too. He had the best team after the draft. I thought his team was really solid. I knew when Kittle came back, it's going to be pretty good. But, yeah, so far he's kind of a middle-of-the-pack team. He's sticking in there. Again, his team's beatable. I definitely laid an egg against him this week when I should have, took one. But, I'll blame myself for not starting Justin Fields, even though I started Herbert and against the Falcons. Go figure, right? But, yeah, Dameon Pierce, solid running back. That's all the Houston Texans offense is. Palmer's a solid pickup on the waiver wire. Mike Evans is one of those guys who could drop 30 to 40 points any week. Tony Pollard's starting to get more carries. Lamar, if he just airs it out and runs. Again, Cole's team is one of those teams like you can't ever count him out. So, yeah, solid team there.
I think Cole's team would be even higher if Lamar was playing like he was in the first 3 games
Sure.
of the season.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Lamar's been kind of, he's been cooling off a little bit. So that's
no Andrews, though, no Bateman, no Hollywood Brown.
Right.
You got to remember that. That's huge. And so let's get into Sean the Bomb. So here's interesting thing about Sean's team. Kelsey, I thought was a great pickup. Adams is one of those guys, like, I don't get how he puts up, I think, 0 points or 1 point, and then all of a sudden 30-something points, right?
Yeah.
I blame Derek Carr for that. Get Devontae Adams the ball every single week, and Sean's team would definitely be tough to beat.
I think in Devontae Adams' defense, though, that week he was having an illness, so I think he was battling flu or something.
Was he? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well,
so
that was the game
benefit
against the
of the
Saints,
doubt.
though, where
Right.
Derek Carr got taken out before the end of the game because that's how crappy he was. And I started him, I know.
Okay, yeah.
He killed me. D-Hop. Lots of guts by Sean to pick up D-Hop, hold him for 6 weeks. D-Hop is that guy who's resurging Sean the Bomb's team, or Sean the Balloons team. I think we should call it that. Water balloons.
That was a nice pick up and hold. That was a Michael Thomas move you were hoping that actually
Solid move by Sean. That's going to get him. I think that's going to be the problem is Sean. I could see unless James Robinson for the Jets starts to pick it up, he's kind of struggling at running back a bit, right? I don't think Zeke's the guy. Mostert's not splitting carries with Wilson. I saw Sean drop Wilson, picked him up, right, back and forth, like, what's he doing, right? So I think he's got a decent team enough, but he could be that team that maybe falls out of playoffs or barely makes it in. Really, I think it depends on Joe Burrow if he's going to keep dropping those awesome games or not show up and maybe lose to the Browns on Halloween night. All right, so John, let me hit on your team, John Jasmine's Rice. Hit on this in my Week 10 recap, or my Week 10 pick segment. Josh Allen, man, I think he dropped 40. You beat me by 7. Josh Allen had 40-plus points against me. If he would have had 30 points, I would have won that game. No. But Josh Allen is your guy. Like, he is your guy who's going to keep you afloat in the top 6. Kamara, it's like, get him the ball. He's their best player on the Saints right now. Him and Olave, but it's like, Andy Dalton, what are you doing? I'm confused on Kamara every week. He's still got it, though. If you watch Kamara run, he's still got it.
Oh, yeah.
Connor's finally back from injury. He's one of those guys that might be out 1 week and then might be back in the next week. Connor, I think, is solid. I have him in another league, and I'm glad he's finally back. Amon-Ra, if he plays like he did at the end of last season, watch out. Olave is a stud pick from Ohio State. Everybody knew he's going to be great, and he's doing better than what everybody thought. I saw an Instagram account, one of the fantasy football Instagram accounts I see, and they had Olave as the number 1 rookie above Kenneth Walker this year, and I'm like, I can't argue with that. Olave is the man. If Kareem Hunt actually got half the carries he did maybe last year, or I should say the amount of carries he got last year, he might be solid for you. But this year he's kind of been a little bit indifferent, right?
Yeah, he's been fading a lot.
Yeah. So and then last, 7th place, Mr. McTutties. Made a big pickup the last 2 weeks. Justin Fields, I think people are sleeping on him. He was actually the number 2 quarterback weeks 4 through 6. I believe that is. And then Aaron Jones. Okay, get this guy the ball. Packers, he'll get a lot of points. He got me.
He is your number 1 receiver.
He got me 140 yards against the Bills, which I was like, what? And then all of a sudden last week he got hurt, so he was out. But it's like, how do you put up 140 yards against the Bills and not get this guy the ball every single freaking game? You got Michael Pittman, who's been very disappointing for me, man. Like Pity City, I call it. And the guy's a stud. He's a wide receiver 1. They just can't get him the ball. And we'll see. I heard, Frank Wright being out. Jeff Saturday might have something up his sleeve. Throwing Pittman deep bombs is what I'm fingers crossed. Yeah, we'll see what he does, man. Devonta Smith, the guy can go off for 30 to 40 any week. It's just A.J. Brown's there. Jalen Hurts has been selective. Sometimes they run the ball. They're all over the place with the Eagles offense. Let me talk about King Henry for a second. Love the guy. I think that's what took Blake to the championship last year, solely on King Henry. Always was my target for the draft. The guy's a beast. They call him the Yeti because he's huge compared to every other running back in the league. Let me talk about the biggest disappointment is drafting 4th Kyle Pitts. The guy is a beast. If you watch him play, he's got the talent. They don't know how to give him the ball, and Marcus Mariota can't give him the ball.
Yeah, everyone knows it's not on Pitts.
Dude, it's not, and it's frustrating.
Mariota.
I watched,
and then I think they're passing 10 times, and obviously it's not that number, but it's something insanely low. I think they're one of the lowest teams in terms of airing the ball out. So it's just it's sad to see that another talent just kind of wasted on that team.
So many missed targets on Mariota to Pitts the other Thursday night game against the Panthers. It was miserable to watch because I was like, he's open, give him the ball, and Mariota, literally they're both wide open, and Pitts just he overthrew him, and what are you doing? That was a 30-yard catch. So anyway, the last person I want to hit on this team is Justin Herbert. Man, so here's the thing: this guy is a stud. However, he's got a lot of hurt receivers. I don't think that's solely the reason why. I think he's playing through injury. But there's a few things going on there because he's not at the same level as he was last season. He used to put up 300 yards easy. Now he's putting up 202, maybe is his average. Sometimes he shows up, sometimes he doesn't. I'm hoping second season it turns around because he is a stud player. It's just get him his players. And Keenan Allen's a big piece of that, right? And Mike Williams. Once they're back, I think we'll see those production numbers go back to normal. Let's briefly hit on 8 spots, 8, 9, and 10 DFWs. You got Team Tate at 9. A.k.a. in Egypt right now, which is kind of crazy. Again, praying to the fantasy gods that his team doesn't get in last. I think it's working for him right now. He got his first dub. And then you got Pittsburgh Feelers, 1-8. He's actually got some good matchups against me this week. Who knows what will happen. But, John, what's your take on picks 8 through 10? So,
8 through 10. I think DFWs, that's a team that finally got the wheels going. So, Kenneth Walker, that was a nice kind of... he came onto the scene lately. He's the player I wish I had. I wish I had Kenny Walker. I wish I picked him up at later rounds. There was that, at the beginning of the season, that groin injury. So it's is that going to play into? Is it going to become worse? Is he going to get re-injured? Whatever. But no, he stepped in and he's been doing really well. So I think DFWs is I think they're going to continue to possibly win out this season.
Yep.
I hope it doesn't start this week with me. I hope I end up upsetting him with my big 3 out, but we'll see. Team Tate, I actually left the draft thinking that Tate had a damn good draft. I was sitting there man, Tate's team, in my mind, was one of the favorites, and it surprised me, the fact that he's been battling last place. So I think Tate will be fine. I mean, he's got DeAndre Swift, if he can just stay out of injury. He's got Dalvin Cook, Jalen Waddle, Tua, that stack right there, which I think is Miami has looked like a totally different team with adding Tyreek and then Tua actually throwing it deeper and airing it out a lot more. So Dallas Goddard's a good pick, and then Tyler Lockett. So I think Tate will be fine. If I was Blake, I would be, picking out my dress right now. And, it's just, I'm looking at his team, and it's I'm looking at his team. Okay. I'm looking at his team, and Austin Eckler and Saquon, that's it. I mean, the rest of his team, though, is Amari Cooper, Juju Smith, wide receivers 1 and 2. Robert Tonyan. I mean, he's got Miles Sanders at the flex. That's not bad. They got an easy schedule the rest of the season. But Eckler and Saquon, they're going to have to put the team on their back. They're going to have to put up big numbers every week to, I think, carry him through the rest of the season. So are they going to be able to do that? I think they're both amazing players, but I don't think just 2 players is going to keep them afloat for the rest of the season. So Blake's team is the one that actually worries me the most. And then you can see the points for. He hasn't even put up 1,000 points this season. So
interesting. So I'll say it. Let me start with Alex's team DFWs. On the Week 10 pick segment, I labeled his team as the San Francisco 49ers because here's the thing. I think he's the team that you got to watch out for. He's on the hot streak now. He's got ETN coming out of nowhere. Yes, Patterson's back. I still think, just get him the ball and Patterson will do great, but they split too many carries there. But watch out for A.J. Brown, Chris Godwin. Zach Ertz has been pretty solid for him. I think his weakness is quarterback, obviously, because he held off on that. Kenneth Walker is saving and resurging his team. He's that guy that's a league winner. They, quote-unquote, NFL fantasy called him a league winner. That's obvious. This guy is what I hoped for with Rashad Penny, because Rashad Penny was a great running back, but he got hurt. And I should have, known to pick up Walker as well. We all should have, right? But steal the draft, Kenneth Walker. He's, I'd say if I had to pick a dark horse as a team, it would be Alex, to maybe slide in there at the last spot in playoffs. I don't know. The 0-7 start might hurt him too much, though.
Yeah.
Because if he loses 1 or 2 games, who knows? But he's got Najee, who just, doesn't, and I think he relied on Najee too much. And Mixon, I think, scored all of his touchdowns in 1 week last week with five touchdowns. So, yeah, Alex's team's the one to watch out for. However, again, terrible start, 0-7. So we'll see if he's able to bounce back. I think he's got to figure out his quarterback gap there, but he's stacked at every other position. All right, so let's hit on Team Tape. Team Tape is the team that I think is the most confusing. Here's why. He's got solid players. Dalvin Cook's just not been doing what you thought. DeAndre Swift doesn't play at all, I feel like. Gabe Davis is one of those guys solely reliant on Josh Allen and that big pass. But Waddle's been amazing for him. Goddard has been pretty consistent. Lockett's been pretty, a lot of people don't talk about him, but Lockett's been the man. He doesn't even use Deebo Samuels much, but Tate's got a decent team. And it's crazy to think that he went 0-7 before that part of the season, right? Tua is amazing, though. And let's hit on that last team, Titty Feelers. So he has got 2 solid running backs. Again, 2 of the top 5, but again, this isn't a running back year. I think Smith-Schuster, good pick. I think if he steps it up, he'll be all right. Cooper, we'll see how he does with Deshaun coming in. But yeah, it's going to be between Blake and Tate, in my opinion, on who might get that last place dress, putt-putt golf. Don't forget, quick update here, you got to wear a dress, you got to do the lipstick, you got to do the wig, the heels at putt-putt. And I think, again, Blake was saying, he's like, I never get last, so we'll see, man.
That's what I'm saying. It's a game of luck, too. So I'm like, I'm looking at these 2 teams, and I'm picking Tate, but anything could happen.
Anything,
It's weird that Dalvin Cook, they're airing it out more on the Minnesota Vikings, so they're really not using him. They're not run heavy like they were before, so it's kind of...
we'll see. So, John, let me ask you this to wrap the mid-season recap up. Who do you think are going to be the 6 playoffs teams at this moment in time before injuries happen and everything? We're talking week 10 here.
Okay.
Who are the 6 teams that make the playoffs, and you already kind of hit on who's your pick for last place?
So Theo, I think Theo's team, Ryan, those are going to be the top 2 teams, in my opinion. I think Eric's team... I think he might slip into playoffs, but I'm just looking at his team and I'm not confident at all. So I would have Cole next as that 3rd spot, Sean at the 4th spot, and then myself, and then your team, possibly to round out that 6th team. Eric's team, I'm not confident at all. Now I like Alex's team, but he's gotten so far back with that 2-7 start, so he's got to win out.
You can pull some upsets off.
But he's got to win out though to stay relevant in the scene. So can he do that? I don't see him winning out the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be, if he started winning earlier, maybe he definitely would have made the playoffs, but I just don't see that.
That's why our league's been so top heavy. I think it's because the bottom 3 teams just haven't been winning as much. But I think Alex is going to start to pull some off.
Yeah.
Tate's actually, probably have some turnaround. So if Titty Feelers pull a few off, the league's going to kind of get a little bit more balance maybe. But yeah, I agree with you 100% that Rich Blitz, Ryan Shannon, 1942 Energy, I think they're pretty solid in at least the top 2 right now. They're definitely going to make the playoffs. I don't know if they'll end up 1 and 2. I think Shannon will definitely end up in one of those spots, get that first round bye. So here's where it gets tricky: 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I think any of these teams can actually get in, and any of these teams can barely miss. I think it's going to be a tight race like last year.
Yeah.
If you remember, there were 3 teams. There was I think 5 teams going for those last 2 or 3 spots, which is pretty crazy, right? So this year, I will say, I think let me start with Cole. I think Cole's team, as long as Lamar and his team stay healthy, I think he'll get in.
Cole's got a good, safe team.
Yeah, he's got a pretty safe floor to get in. Ceiling, we don't know really what it is. Sean, if D-Hop, D-Hop's been yelling at Kyler in the middle of games. I watched on the Hard Knocks the other night. He actually yells at Kyler getting the ball. And they don't really have the best relationship if you actually watch him on the sidelines. But D-Hop is going to get the ball, right? So, but yeah, Sean's got a solid receiving core. He's got, tight end, but his running backs, his quarterback's kind of the weak spot. So I would say he's on the edge, right? I'd say Surplus is on the edge, big Surplus, depending on how Jalen Hurts and Hawkinson and Kupp finish the season. I'm going to say I'm on the edge. Depends if my team actually shows up, if Aaron Jones gets the ball, Fields keeps continuing to play like he's supposed to. We'll see. I'd say I'm on the edge. I think your team is the 4th team that I do think will make it in as long as Josh Allen stays healthy, Kamara stays in.
Yeah.
So I think the 4 guarantees are Theo's team, Shaden's team, your team, Cole's team, and the bubble teams are myself, Sean and Surplus and possibly Alex if he's able to go win out, which is, again, anything's possible. It's all luck, right? Not all luck. A lot of it's luck in fantasy football. So with all that being said, want to talk about we got the Munich game coming up tomorrow with the Bucks versus the Seahawks. John, I don't know if you saw, but they're doing custom-made special helmets. They're actually pretty badass. Okay. And they both have meanings to Germany behind it. But what do you think, start off with your thoughts on, okay, what do you think about the game in Germany and Munich, and then your thoughts overall about NFL going international?
Oh, yeah, I'm all for it. I like the spread and awareness of football. I mean, it's really cool to see, in the podcasts that I listen to all the time, Fantasy Pros, whenever they bring in a guest and from England. It's like these guys, it's crazy because you think these guys don't know anything, and then they're keeping up with this. So spreading that awareness, Mexico, UK, and then now Germany, that's just another spot to promote the NFL. So I think it's really cool. I'm part German, so I sprechen Sie Dick.
What's that?
I'll tell you about it later. It's just German talk, but it's really exciting to see that. That's a cool spot to have it in. So yeah, I'm all for it.
What's okay? So we got Munich. They obviously haven't had the games in Mexico for a while now, which is, if you ever watch those games are outstanding. The crowd is going nuts. There's laser pointers in quarterback's eyes. It's just fun to watch. I think the England games are a bit like, no one wants to wake up at 8 in the morning and watch the Vikings versus the Jaguars or whoever's playing, right? And the rumor is, first off, let's start with the rumor: the Jaguars might move to England. I've heard that. Do you think that's a possibility? Can you see a team going international?
I could not see that.
No? Really? Why's that?
I couldn't see it. Football's an American sport.
Yeah,
it's born and bred here, so I don't see any of those teams leaving and going.
I will say, I was surprised because I saw a statistic on the top 5 teams in Munich that everybody buys jerseys for, and the Bucks and the Chiefs were up there, and they have a huge fan base. That's why they're playing in Munich. Same as England. They actually sell out the games, which is kind of crazy sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So I could see, here's the thing, NFL wants to make money. I could see them expanding. I could maybe even see them adding a team on eventually. Maybe the Jaguars, if they leave or not, maybe they add a team.
I would be all for that. That'd be kind of cool to see it spread internationally and add to the existing roster. Yeah.
Okay. All right, John. So we're gonna kind of get close to wrapping it up here because I know this has been a bit of a lengthy segment, but podcast. But thanks for we're doing the whole midseason recap, so appreciate you guys listening to all of it because I know you're gonna listen to every word.
Exactly.
With that being said, man, okay. Do you have any last-minute sort of shout-outs, PSAs about, the NFL or fantasy football or the Jabronis League? Like, do you have anything you want to say to the fans?
Nothing jumps on the top of my head, but I think it's been a good competitive season.
Yeah.
I like that the teams are close. This is actually a good league that we're really not sure about a lot of the teams who's going to make it. So I like that close. And I like that the group that we have, they're all competitive. Yeah. So it makes it a fun environment.
That's a good point, man. It's not as straightforward. And it wasn't like that so much last year either. There was 7 teams fighting for those last 6 spots. You didn't know if you were going to get in. Again, pretty even keel league. And I definitely think we have a solid group here. Remember, the goal is to make this league the best. Why we're doing things like this. And I actually see a lot more kind of my shout out in PSA is I like the interaction. I like the videos. I like more texting in the group.
Yeah.
I could definitely tell you guys are thinking about the league more, which is awesome. Again, the goal is we're going to be the best league around, and I think we're headed that way, right? So again, season 2, we're continuing to trend upwards. Let's keep that going.
I'm looking forward to future podcasts to get the other guys in here to kind of plead their case, so we're not just talking about them.
Yeah, these are just our opinions, which are right
here. Talk to them.
We are 100% correct, but you guys have your thoughts too, right? So I guess we got to hear those. Just messing with you guys. But yeah, other than that. Want to hit on a couple last-minute things. So, Texans versus Cowboys, December 11th. That's a potential game that maybe the Jabronis could get together and go to. Still kind of thinking through that. It is less than a month away. But yeah, definitely wanted to start saying maybe once a year we go to a different stadium, especially a lot of us haven't been to them. Check out a different team. Make sure it's a good game, Figure we start maybe local this year. Texans are obviously not that great. Cowboys might make a run in the playoffs, so might be a fun game and not so expensive last minute, right? Because we didn't plan this one out too much. So look out for that coming your way. And then the other thing, too, is we're definitely going to do a December event. I know we kind of didn't have time. The October event got canceled. Shout out to Eric and team. No, I'm just kidding. Things happen last minute. I have a bunch of cookies still left over. Eating through those. Thank you. But yeah, other than that, We're going to do a December event. It's going to be probably, I'm thinking Texas Live since we didn't do that last year. It's a fun place. We can watch a bunch of games, maybe week 14 or 15. So that last week where everyone's on the bubble or the first week of playoffs. I know you guys are in a bunch of other leagues too, so that'd just be fun to meet up and hang out and watch, all that stuff there. And again, look out for future Pancake Press updates about, the putt and all that fun stuff coming your way. So, with that being said, we're going to sign off. You guys are solid for listening to this, and good luck the rest of the season. Hopefully you make playoffs, except make sure John and I get in first.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.